Live from News 6 and ClickOrlando.com, this is News 6 at 9.
Good morning, I'm Bridget Ellison.
We're so happy you're with us on this Monday. I'm Julie Broughton.
And I'm Candace Campos. I know it's Monday, but it's never too late to start thinking about fun things to do. I know a lot of people are on now the spring break depression, where it's just everyone's back to work and school. But there is something kind of fun you can do, probably even with the family. Did you know that Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood went to Rollins College here in Central Florida? I know we have a lot of people who stem from, their roots are from Central Florida, but Rollins College is doing something pretty interesting. It's a kind of a walking tour of Mr. Rogers' neighborhood and kind of his past and his contributions to the college. So our very own Nadine Yanez will take us in and find out all the fun little stuff and some surprises along the way.
Well, Central Florida has been home to many famous and influential folks throughout history, from sports legends to singers and artists, and Mr. Rogers.
Yes, well, he is well known for his dedication to public television and, of course, his favorite, our favorite children's TV show, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. But what many don't know is Fred Rogers is a graduate of Rollins College in Winter Park.
That's why the school now has a walking tour in his honor to remember his time there. News 6's Nadine Yanez put on her cardigan to check it out and got a special surprise.
The first stop is Mr. Rogers' cardigan and tennis shoes that he donated to the college. This is also where we met a professor, a dear friend of Mr. Rogers, who took us on the tour and showed us the hallways Mr. Rogers walked and the place on campus that inspired him to live a life of service.
This sweater is one of the ones that he wore on the show, and his sweaters were knitted by his mother.
Dr. John SINCLAIR took us on a tour that Mr. Rogers took him on once before.
He said, I want to show you my Rollins.
Showing the Rollins Fred Rogers graduated from in 1951.
He met his wife here.
Majoring in music.
That was what Fred looked like in college here.
Dr. SINCLAIR becoming close friends with Mr. Rogers in his later years, telling us stories about the television legend along the tour.
So thoughtful and so exactly like you know Mr. Rogers on TV. This is a beautiful painting of Fred.
A painting these friends from Rhode Island stopped to see.
I was a huge childhood fan of Mr. Rogers.
Little did they know, just down the hallway was an even closer tie to Mr. Rogers. His own nephew, a composer and professor teaching music in the same department Mr. Rogers majored in.
I would show him what I was writing from the very earliest years. I would show him everything I wrote.
You're going to play us a song?
Oh, well.
Giving us a treat, not typically on the tour.
I could play you the one we're going to analyze in this class today, but I think I'll play you one that Uncle Fred might have played.
I love that.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
It's nostalgia for everyone. We miss him.
Oh, I always miss him.
Dr. SINCLAIR then taking us to the last stop of the tour, a spot most likely the most meaningful to Mr. Rogers himself.
He showed you this tour and he said that this is the sign
that influenced his life. Life is for service. And indeed, he lived that. He walked the walk, didn't he?
4 small words that inspired such a large legacy. If you want to be inspired by the Mr. Rogers Walking Tour, it is going on until March 31st, so you have until this Sunday. For more information, including hours, just head to ClickOrlando.com. From Rollins College, I'm Nadine Yanez, getting results, News 6.
I'm inspired.
Yes, we have to hurry.
I
Going
know.
through this Sunday, of course, Mr. Rogers premiered on PBS 51 years ago.
And we're such fans of PBS, too. They do such great things for the kids.
And you think about it, in recent news and political news, some of the funding is under fire for PBS. And in 1969, Mr. Rogers spoke at a hearing before the U.S. Senate and successfully secured funding for public TV. So hopefully that funding can continue for public television. It's made such a difference.
Yes, it has.
I mean, it really says something about him as well, of life of service. He was on postage stamp back in the day, and so many years later, we still kind of get that, that nostalgia. Yeah. I mean, Fred Rogers passed away from cancer back in 2003, but his legacy for sure continues to live on.
Yes, it does.
And that movie? with Tom Hanks coming out in November, just
okay,
before
you've got it on your
Thanksgiving.
calendar.
Yes, just in time for Thanksgiving. That'll be a good family
That would
movie.
be a nice family video. Yeah.